without gas, fumes, or noise. So you'll sleep like a baby because it's safe to use inside. People are lining up for these generators.
I know that I can run my refrigerator for hours before I have to recharge this. This could be a lifesaver for you.
Just text SOLAR to 76687. You'll get a solar panel included free. This is about peace of mind. Get your solar generator and free panel. Just text SOLAR to 76687.
These bills are crazy.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold mine.
She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy.
Even a term policy?
Even a term policy!
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today at 800-496-9200 or visit CoventryDirect.com.
And tonight, a new report shows Biden's lack of resolve in helping Israel to eradicate Hamas. According to officials, the White House told Israel it needs to fight more surgically in Gaza. But it's not just the White House showing a lack of resolve. While Chuck Schumer continues to prevent what was an opportunity yesterday, a standalone Israeli aid package bill from becoming law, despite every Senate Republican voting to advance this and the left's reluctance to offer support. This comes as the true extent of Hamas's brutality is now coming to light, as the grandmother of a recently released hostage said that Hamas kept her 12-year-old grandson in solitary confinement for 16 days. Another hostage forced to watch videos of the brutal October 7th terror attacks, according to his own aunt. And also, even worse, a 10-month-old was passed off to another Palestinian terrorist group. And meanwhile, according to reports, a Palestinian crowd could be heard taunting freed Israeli hostages. Here with reaction, Israeli Special Ops veteran Aaron Cohn, outnumbered co-host Kayleigh McEnany. Good to see you both. Kayleigh, you hear these stories, and I'm looking at this New York Times piece. U.S. warning Israel to fight more surgically in Gaza. I wonder if in World War II, in the battle that took place in Europe, if that was the strategy of Winston Churchill and everybody united to fight against the Nazis, if that would have worked out well. We're talking about brutal terrorists that have committed the most atrocious acts imaginable.
Right. How do you fight surgically when, as the IDF told me, and as we've seen on these airwaves, there are tunnels underneath kids' beds when you go to a hospital, and there are weapons in front of colorfully painted portraits in a children's hospital, when the main military complex of Hamas is underneath Al-Shifa Hospital. It's ridiculous. Israel is doing everything it can to avoid civilian deaths, but you are fighting terrorists here. It is insane. It is something that was not said to Ukraine, by the way. I don't recall the admonitions wide and far to Ukraine. We must condition the aid. We trusted our ally, and here we don't trust our ally. And it's sad to me, Sean, because we are dealing with monsters. My 11-month-old, almost 1-year-old son is upstairs in a crib sleeping. But 11-month-old Kafir Bibis is not in the hands of Hamas anymore. No, he's been sold or handed off to another terrorist group alongside his 4-year-old brother Ariel and his mom Shiri, as his family desperately waits for any news. We are dealing with monsters here. So don't you dare lecture Israel and say, control your rage. No, Hamas, control your rage. Stop acting as terrorists.
And Aaron, their strategy has been to fire rockets from schools and from hospitals. You know, how the media got sucked into the lie that Israel bombed out a hospital and killed 500 doctors, nurses, and patients. They went with that lie. Israel did not fire that rocket. That hospital wasn't even hit. It ended up being Islamic Jihad hitting a parking lot. That's a big problem. But now we know that in this network of terror tunnels that they have, their command headquarters was under one of Gaza's biggest hospitals. So we know what their strategy is. Israel seems to have done everything possible, warning people to get out or die, warning people, telling them exactly where to go to be safe. And the people that have kept them there, Hamas has kept them there. So I don't know what else they can do except they've got a war to win. They've got a country that needs to survive this.
Sean, here's where I'm at with all this. Hamas was begging for a ceasefire. Israel had deployed what's called a Sir Lachatz in Hebrew. That's a pressure cooker campaign. Israel brilliantly rolled it out over a period of a month, killing thousands of Hamas terrorists with extreme selectivity, using their JTAC unit. They can call off a missile mid-flight if they see a kid running across the street. But the fact is that Hamas's psychological warfare has dictated and found its way into the Oval Office and gotten into the head of President Biden, who's gotten Israel a bad deal. Now, let me say this. Israel wants its hostages back. They're going to do anything to get them back. But Israel was on its way to finding out and figuring out exactly where those hostages were. But the fact is that right now, Israel's in a bad deal. And what I mean by that is those hostages and this deal is in control of who? Hamas. And that's a big no-no in counterterrorism, Sean. We don't like terrorists controlling the deal. And what that means is that the only way to get a better deal is to crank up that pressure and focus on the complete dismantling of Hamas so that we will not see an October 7th massacre repeat itself, which Hamas has been very public about. But here's the problem, Sean. The problem right now is that the deal negotiators are the same country that are harboring the leaders of Hamas, Qatar. And in my world, that's also a big no-no. And that deal needs to get moved because right now, there's only 30% of those hostages released, and that's a problem. But I can assure you, if they crank up the operations, the minute they crank up, Hamas will start to cry. And if that doesn't work, Sean, I can assure you that maybe it's time to start looking at some death sentences for some very high-ranking Hamas officials who are in Israeli prisons, because we know the leverage game very well. But unfortunately, President Biden has put Israel in a corner right now, and the Hamas is pulling at the
But let me
heartstrings.
just address this, because my mind agrees with everything that you're saying. This is giving Hamas an opportunity to gather fuel and munitions and reconfigure their strategies, etc. It makes them stronger militarily. It makes them more